something that's done, and I don't know how many people believe that it can be done. But I thought we might as well find out, because one of my problems is billing practices. Back in December 14th to be exact, I realized that I had not paid my bill. I usually pay it early, but I realized I hadn't paid it. So I picked up the phone, and I'm giving this to you in writing. I called Verizon, and they tell me in their response that I'm not an auto pay member. No, I'm not an auto pay member. And I noticed I didn't say I was an auto pay member when I gave you the information. But anybody can use the telephone to call and pay your bill. And they tell you that, and they give you a phone number on the bill itself, where you can call and pay your bill by telephone. So I did that, and I was given a figure that I thought, wow, I must have missed a payment somewhere. But I went on and I did it. And then after I got off the phone, I checked my own records, and that's when I realized I hadn't missed a payment. What had happened when I was trying to get the bill, and you go through the prompt system, is that they gave me not only the current bill that was owed, they gave me the bill for the following month. So I paid them both. So same evening, I placed another call, got a customer service representative after waiting for a while, and I told the customer service representative what had happened. He said, let me check. He said, yeah, you have a zero balance. I said, yeah, I know that, but I'm wondering about a system that gives you a double payment. Because if they do that to enough people, just think of the interest you can make on that money. And that's another thing that you guys can take a look at under the auspices of your authority as the Cable TV Commission. I don't know whether or not you ever do that, but it's a possibility. Anyhow, I talked to this representative and I said, okay, I'll just leave the money there and that'll pay for the next month. He said, okay. I said, but I want a corrected bill. I want some evidence. He said, well, you've got the, they give you a confirmation number when you pay it. I said, yep, I've got the confirmation number. I said, but I think I'd like something in writing. He said, well, we don't do that. And I thought, well, this is before Christmas. What was it, the 14th of December at that point? I said, I'll deal with it sometime in the future. I won't deal with it right now. So I waited until I got a bill. And the bill not only did not reflect the fact that I had made a double payment, it didn't reflect the fact that I had made any payment at all. Back on the phone, calling Verizon, I said, hey, I got this bill, and the bill does not reflect that I not only made one payment, I actually made two. And they said, well, that's because of the way we do our billing cycle. I said, explain it to me. So they gave me an explanation. It still doesn't make sense to me. But they gave me an explanation about doing a cutoff date on the 12th, and I was dealing on the 14th. I said, yeah, but see, I have these bills here. And what the bills will say is something to the effect of total due by February 6th, which is incidentally the next time I was due a bill. And this is in December when we're trying to get this letter of correction. It says total due by February 6th. To avoid late payment charge on your total due, full payment must be received before February 14th. Now, which day is the bill actually due? Is it due on the 6th or is it due on February 14th? Generally on something like that, what I will do is, let's see, this was due on May 15th. I paid it on April 20th, but I tend to do that because I tend to pay the bills early. In the case of this particular bill, when I got that bill saying that I owe 2 months payment, which came to a total of $471.77, and this is after I had paid $471.77, even though I didn't owe but $235. I got the guy on the phone, another customer service representative on the phone. And I said to him, I received this bill today, and it says I owe $471.77. He says, let me check. He checked and said, you have a zero balance. I said, I know that, and you know that, but according to this piece of paper in my hand, there's a serious doubt in somebody's mind. Well, that's the way they send out their billing. I think it's a billing practice that helps them to build up an early balance wherever they can, and then they draw interest on it. I'd be real interested in knowing how much interest they're drawing on a national, statewide, or even a county basis on money that they're pulling in. At any rate, as we go through this conversation about they cannot give me anything in writing because their billing system doesn't work that way. They can sure enough tell you real quick how much you have failed to pay them, but they can't tell you how much you have paid. And to me, that seems a little backwards in terms of being a system. Makes me wonder if they're hiding something, to be perfectly honest. And speaking of hiding something, after I went through the first person, I got to the second person, the one who told me that he was as high as I could go. Therefore, they couldn't give me anything in writing. There was nobody else I could talk to. So that's when I called you, Gina. That's when, after talking to the nice person at 311 who was suffering from the same problem. And you told me I should submit something in writing. It's not as well written as I'd like, but it was something in writing. I also took the liberty, and I told you this as well, of calling the corporate office in New York, which got to be kind of interesting. Because after I got through some people and I talked to this person, he said someone would definitely call me the next day. And I said, okay, well, in that case, give me your name. His name was Jim Paulson. And I said, and give me your direct dial number in case we somehow miss each other. He gave me a number. I waited 2 days. Nobody called me the first day, and nobody called me the second day. So, as I said, I waited 2 days, called them, discovered what I got was a voicemail answering system. And if you know your party's number or your party's extension, which of course I didn't know, and I also couldn't find a Jim Paulson doing it alphabetically. So that says to me somebody doesn't exist. At any rate, through Gina, I got a call from Miss Foster representing a Randy Tibbs. And I asked her where she was. Well, she said she was in New York. I said, okay, so what generated your call to me? And she said headquarters. And I said, what headquarters? Because I didn't know if it was a contractor headquarters, if it was a cable commission headquarters. So I pressed her for the name, and she finally said, well, Mr. Tibbs. I said, well, could you kindly ask Mr. Tibbs to call me, because she told me she could give me a letter. And we were on the phone half hour to 45 minutes. And that's when she finally said to me, well, we can send you a letter. We can't send you a revised bill. Because what I was originally asking for was a revised bill. But we can send you a letter. I said, okay. I said, I'll accept the letter. I'm not happy, but I'll accept the letter. So she said, okay, we'll get the letter out to you no later than tomorrow morning. That was what, about 2.5 weeks ago. I haven't seen or heard of a letter yet. So I guess they didn't make it the morning afterwards. That was what, the 6th or 7th, I can't remember exactly what date it was, of January. At any rate, I inquired of you who Mr. Tibbs was. And Mr. Tibbs sent you an email where in the email, he somehow misses all the other people I talked to, which are mentioned in the email I sent in. And it conveys a distinct impression that I talked to one person, and that one person agreed to send me a letter. And I don't know why he said that, because number one, nobody sent me a letter, but it conveys the impression that I somehow declined to receive the letter, and that did not happen. So, Where we stand at this moment is I just got my most current bill, and at this point it is showing the exact amount that I owe in February and not now. So I haven't paid it yet. But what it says on that one, I dropped these today as I was trying to get into a tow truck and carry them at the same time. I brought all the bills in case anybody was curious. The current bill is due on or about the 6th or 7th of February. Now, I'm going to mail a payment for it tomorrow, and we'll see how long it takes to post. You may notice on your phone bill that when they come in, they indicate a posting date. And that's not the day you sent it. It's not even the day they received it. It's the day they put it into the computer. So, from time to time, in fact almost every time, the day you think you paid them is going to be different than the date they're showing for you to have paid them. And that's standard procedure too in terms of their billing practices. So, at some point I'm sure you review the email that I sent and the email that Mr. Tibbs sent to you. Now, Mr. Tibbs hasn't reached out to me yet. How come? I don't know. Maybe that's not in his job description. And maybe Miss Foster works somehow for him. And maybe Mr. Tibbs isn't the manager at all. Maybe he works at the corporate office. You might notice if you try to get the phone numbers for the corporate office, they're veiled, so that you can never quite get to who you want to talk to. And that's a continuous problem. I talked to a lot of people, and just in the last month I've had a chance to raise this particular kind of question with them, and it amazes me that I've found very, very few people, too, who actually said they were not having problems with their cable, their telephone, their internet, or their cell phones. And that's why it surprises me that this room is so quiet. I have a feeling if more people were aware of your existence, and particularly if they felt that you had some influence and could, in fact, change some of these things, that you'd have a room full of people. If you have any questions of me, I'm quite ready to answer them.
I've got one. I was a little, I think I missed something. I thought you said you had spoken with Mr. Tibbs.
No, I said Mr. Tibbs had never responded to me. I spoke to a Miss Foster,
Right.
who told me she represented, and I had to press her for that. But she told me, Mr. Tibbs. She said, I guess you can talk to Mr. Tibbs. And I said, who asked you to call me? And she said, Mr. Tibbs. I said, what's his full name? And I reported that to Gina as well, that I had spoken with this Miss Foster. Now, I'm not quite sure who she is, where she fits. I'm not quite sure about Mr. Tibbs. You know more about it than I would assume.
But you received that resolution letter from Mr. Tibbs, the one I sent to you?
I received the email that he sent to you.
Right. I sent that to
I
you.
did not.
So he said he sent a copy to you, and you said you didn't receive it, so that's why I resent that to you.
Nope.
Okay. But at least you got it from me, though.
I got it from you. And I have a copy here. One of the nice things about emails is that if you send them, they indicate who else is copied. So if it's copied to me and I somehow miss it, which is possible, unlike the cable companies, I don't claim to be perfect. That's not the one. You don't have to have it with you, do you?
No, that
was the issue resolved?
Well, it was resolved by Verizon, but he's not satisfied with it. He just told me yesterday that he's not satisfied with it. I mean, Verizon.
With the email that they sent me?
the one
No,
that-
actually, the one they sent to me says from Cable Commission to Walter
He
Thaxton.
was not satisfied, that's why he came over.
Oh, that was the original one that you sent to me. There's one more. Hopefully I brought that one with me.
Can I explain something to you about the 6th and the 14th? So it's a grace period.
Right.
So it's due on the 6th. You won't get, it won't be late to like the 14th or the 15th. So it gives you a grace period. Same thing for a credit card. You
Right.
know, it's due that date, but they give you a grace period. So they want you to get in by the 6th. If you're mailing it, shouldn't take more than 7 days. So that's why it's giving you the date it's due, and you won't get billed a late fee.
That's why it gives me 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
And it's the
accept
same with your
that.
mortgage company. Think about
It's
it. I don't know if you
everything.
have, it's the
Credit
same thing.
cards.
Like I have a date that my mortgage is due, but they give you a grace period. And so they're letting you know that they're not going to charge you that 10% or whatever it is
Late fee.
until a certain date. So that is why you have the 2 days.
Well, my mortgage provides a 2-week grace period, and
Well,
that's
each
clearly
company's different.
defined that it is in fact a
Well, that's
grace
how it
period.
is.
And I accept the fact that this is a grace period. What I don't accept is why they pool 2 payments when you ask how much you owe.
They do it when you're late. I
Right.
do it because I never pay my files bill on time. I just don't. I pay $500 every 2 months, and so they do it when you're late. They will always pull 2 payments all the time. Everybody does it.
I wonder how much they make with that. That in itself can become an industry.
I pay my bill late, so I just.
So at this point, there's been a communication back resolving the double billing.
Right, Verizon sent, email explaining the whole details to him, but,
Well, it doesn't explain the whole thing to me. There's
Well-
several things that it does. One, it indicates that I talked to a company representative. It leaves out the fact that I talked to at least 6 company representatives. And the fact that I had to go through 6 people, that's problematic in itself. Because what they do in those initial worries is they just try to discourage you from going beyond them.
They do.
And that's common industry practice. And a lot of people do get discouraged and just back
Right.
off. Now, in terms of the communications, they make it awfully hard to reach anybody who can, in fact, discuss knowledgeably and intelligently the problem that you have to start with. That's a problem. You can list it as problem number 2. Number 3, the people you're dealing with are not, in fact, Verizon employees. It's a contract company that you can reach. And you can never talk to the same person twice. And that, in fact, is a problem too, because every time you call, you're starting all over again. And that, in fact, becomes discouraging. I know people got so mad they broke their telephone.
So what I'm hearing is that what you would like from this commission is, to the extent that we have any oversight, any authority, for want of a better word, to look at the billing practices, the customer service practices, and the third thing would be just some general raising the awareness of the community, if you will, about the existence of this body.
Well, I'd also like you to look at the finances.
I'm sorry.
I'd like you to look at the finances. How much are they actually making in the county? How much of
To the
those-
extent that we have any authority to do that, yeah.
It's hard to look at billing practices without being able to do that.
Well, you mentioned earlier what interest they were accruing from late fees and so forth. And I don't know if we have that kind of authority or not, but the extent to which we do have any authority over any of this, we'll take a look at it and be able to. I'm personally new to the commission myself, so I'm not fully aware of the extent of our authority, but I'll certainly take a look at it.
Who's the committee chairman, commission
I
chairman? You are.
Yes, sir.
if I can.
Please.
Okay. The franchise agreement does, both franchise agreements allow for audits to be performed, given a valid complaint. So if you have a valid complaint for your particular bill and you bring that to the commission, that's something that we can go forward and do an audit on your bill. We
What
can
sanctions do
review,
you
I'm
have?
sorry.
What sanctions do you have?
Let me finish my statement about the audits. Okay. Additionally, the commission has the ability to review up to 5 years of franchise fees paid to the county in addition to PEG fees paid to the county. So again, if you would like, and if you have a valid complaint about interest accrued for your particular account, then we can have an audit done on that. Otherwise, we do it in a one fell swoop. So it's everything that has been paid to the county in terms of franchise fees and PEG fees.
You can't look at how much they've actually collected?
So we look at what they've given to the county. So they have a reporting mechanism and they report to the county on a quarterly basis how much money they receive from said subscribers within the county's, within Prince George's County proper. And based on that, they pay the county X amount of franchise fees. Then they're also to pay the county PEG fees as well. We can, by law, audit on those fees that are collected from the subscribers and then given to the county. And I think that kind of answers, I hope it answers maybe some of your questions about the sanctions. So I've taken a couple of notes here, so I wanted to address that because I heard your question about the audits. I also wanted to just let you know that this body cannot govern any rates in terms of services to the subscribers. And so when we talk about billing practices that we can assist subscribers with, it's normally along the lines of, late fees were assessed and your bill wasn't late, or you were assessed a fee and you didn't have services. So those are the type of things that we can assist with. And again, if you have a valid complaint, in terms of how they collected your bill, that's something that we can go and we can do an audit, but it will only be for your bill. As far as your comment about the publicizing the service, that has been a goal of Prince George's County for quite some time. And to sit here today and actually see 3 people is a success story, to be perfectly honest with you. If you go next door to the municipalities in Montgomery County and other municipalities, they're not even having residents attend their cable commission meetings. So the county has done a number of things to actually publicize this body to the county. So we have what's called the Subscribe My PGC, which is what you can sign up via email, and every month it tells you all of the events that Prince George's County has coming up, and this commission meeting does get sent out as a blast. We also do Facebook, and we send out tweets. We have the 311 service, of course. You can call into the number, so we publicize that on the website in addition to the online streaming. Those are the things that we've done to publicize the body. So there's always efforts, and we're always looking for more. If you have more ideas of how to get the word out to community, I would be more than willing to entertain it.
I do.
So what's the subscribe? I'm trying to put
Subscribe My PGC. If you go to the county's website, it's there. You'll get blast, not just for this particular body, but other bodies where the residents can come out and interact with the county as well. Did you have another? Because you had your hand. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You said something and I kind of let it slip a moment ago. I recognize that you can't determine what the rates will be.
Right.
But you can examine the basis for those rates. Because there's nothing in there that precludes that, at least as far as I was looking at it.
I don't think that I understand your question, but we can probably talk more offline if that's okay, so that because I want to be able to help you as best as possible. And so if there's something that is within our rights to do in terms of our franchise agreement, which is also on the website, both the Comcast franchise agreement and the Verizon franchise agreement, and that clearly states out and lays out everything that this body has the ability and the authority to do. So if there's something that you think that we can do, it may require me to go back and actually look and see, maybe that's something that we can help you out with. But if you don't mind, if you can maybe, have a conversation with me offline just about that, then I'll go ahead.
Right, but I do need to have this question answered.
Sure.
What sanctions do you actually have? Can you suspend them? Can you issue a mandate regarding anything?
So again, those type of things are outlined in the franchise agreement, and they vary. And so, for instance, like I said, if there are an X number of missed appointments, it clearly states out, what those sanctions look like. If there's an area where there is not service and we needed to build out, and they have not done so within the said time that's outlined in the agreement, that's something that the county would then write a letter to Comcast, and then we would impose fees and fines that would go to the county. And but it clearly states, so it varies. It may be $2,000 for that. If there is a missed appointment, then the sanctions for that, they vary depending upon the infraction. So that's why, if you have something specific, I can go back and then I can tell you yes.
Well,
So
I was
if
just
this-
asking what kind of sanctions you have. in
Yeah,
general.
so we do have sanctions,
Because I
and they're
also
outlined.
noticed that you can address issues of actual construction,
Yes.
like when they laid the line. Sounds like I got a lot of problems, but they messed up my sidewalk.
Those are things that we
I
absolutely
didn't
can
know
help
there
you
was a
with.
cable commission at that time, so I went to the county Department of Public Works specifically. I could go right down to the person I talked to. They promised to take care of it. Some 8 years later, they haven't taken care of it yet. And now the person who originally said they were going to take care of it denies they ever did it. Fortunately, there were witnesses at the time he made the comments that they would take care of it.
Right.
To me,
So we
it's
do
just a
have-
major frustration.
Right, but that's the reason why this body exists, is to kind of take, some of that weight off of you and let us, be the intermediary between the residents and the telecommunication companies. And so now that you know that we exist, and we have your information, Gina has already, started the communication with you, and I'm going to talk to you after the meeting so that I can, fully understand exactly what you need from this body, so that we can make sure that we're giving to you the expected delivery that you want from the Cable Commission
I
staff.
recognize and respect the body. The kind of problems that I'm talking about are endemic, long-standing, widespread. And my question really is, it's nice to have you guys be the intermediary, but you're not the ones I'm going to talk to on a regular basis, because I can't come to you with every problem I have. Okay, what can we do to change the way they operate? And do you have any authority to be able to do that?
So, with the franchise agreement, they all have an expiration date. And so when it's time to renegotiate, these are the things that we think about when we talk about, customer service relations needs to be better. We go back and we look at, what happened as a result of these cable commission meetings. We go back, we look at meetings, we look at logs. So we don't just, take the residents' complaints, put them in a log and then report them, and then they just die. They are actually pulled back up, and they do make a difference, and we meet with our franchise managers on a monthly basis, and we talk about these things. So I understand what you're saying, and it is a long-standing issue, but, and I hear you, and I certainly understand. And what I want to do, since your complaint is more so about Verizon, is just and I'm so sorry that the Verizon representative, who is normally in attendance at all of the Cable Commission meetings, but she could not attend today. But she's very astute, very able to, pass on the inclination that, if there is customer service that need maybe retraining and things like that needs to be done, that, she will go back and take that into consideration. And then we will follow up. We don't just leave it there. The Cable Commission staff does follow up.
If you go online, there are websites that are devoted to identifying the problems with Verizon, Comcast, etc. And those are long-standing. They've been there a while. That brings two questions to mind. Do you guys ever review those and take a look to see what the problems are as people are presenting them? And, excuse me, lost my thought on that second question, which has to do with whether or not you survey your constituents to see what kind of service they're getting.
Yes,
in
we
the
do.
county.
Again, every franchise agreement has a expiration, and when we're in the process of renegotiating, we do a random survey to understand what the constituents' needs are. Now, understand, as in terms of the websites that exist out there with the various complaints, we only service Prince George's County proper. There are 27 municipalities in Prince George's County. The city of Bowie has its own franchise agreement. As you heard earlier when we talked about the monthly reports, the city of New Carrollton has its own franchise agreement. So for us, that would be an awfully daunting task for us to go to a website and try to pull out all of the complaints that we have authority to do anything about. So we have this body, and we try to get it out to the public in hopes that they bring their issues to us, and then that way we can help them.
I'll issue an invitation for an organization. I'm not the head of it. I'll issue the invitation anyway. There's a group called the Coffee Club. You may be familiar with it, Thomas. They meet on a weekly basis, 8:30 in the morning on Wednesdays at the Colony Motel. And everybody from the chief of police to Rashawn Baker has been in attendance at one time or another. And I'd like to invite you to, and Thomas, of course, and the others too as well, to be present at one of those meetings so you can tell them all about what the Cable Commission is. The people, constituents in that room represent the homeowners associations and various other organizations throughout the county, and they're regulars, so they'd be more than happy to hear from you.
Absolutely, and so Gina, you already have right, and so if we can, send you or if you could send to us the invite, that's something that I would be interested in.
You want it in writing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The chairman is running the meeting.
Please.
Well, it doesn't matter, really. One general comment that I almost forgot until it was mentioned again, and I did mention it to the representative here from Comcast. One thing that is frustrating, a lot of your customer service calls and technical calls, I'm sorry, not even customer service, tech calls go to another country. And I know that a lot of companies outsource, I get that. And as long as I can understand them, I don't have any problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is that and nobody mentions this, there is a delay on those calls. I know there is, because, and I don't know if that's something that can't seem to be fixed, because it's not only with Comcast. The same thing has happened to me in calling another company that outsources. And so I'm speaking, and there's a delay. So they haven't heard yet what I've said. They hear it a little later. So they don't respond in a way that makes me think that they heard me. So I say it again. Now they're upset because they think I'm, they're thinking that I'm antagonistic. I'm not. It's just that by their response or lack of thereof, I'm thinking they didn't hear me. And so I think that sets up for a lot of miscommunication and frustration, and on both parts, on that contractor's part, and as well as mine. I mean, it's a horrible system. So somehow somebody from just a technical standpoint has to figure out how can they get rid of that delay, for one. And then also, if you're going to outsource, for goodness sakes, make sure that they pass some kind of test to ensure that their English is really good. And so that you're not making a bad problem worse by now getting someone who can't understand you, or who understands you to a limited degree. And so when they're responding to you, it's just a patronizing kind of response, because they don't necessarily really understand the language and understand what's going on. And then the other thing I will say to you, Mr. McLeod, is if you guys really want people to know about you, you can do two things. One, each councilman, as far as I know, has some type of reader, newsletter, email chain, whatever. Each councilman could announce these meetings in their monthly or quarterly or whatever it is that they put out to their constituents. that's one way. I know my councilman is Derek Leon Davis. He's not a chair, but he has a reader, and a lot of us that are active in a homeowners association get it. That's one way. If you really want to know, each councilman has some communication with their constituents. So that's one way. The other way is, I know I've testified at the Planning Commission quite a few times. They have a list of all HOA presidents and vice presidents or contacts in civic associations. So you certainly could get access to that, I'm sure. And you could get
Civic
something out in that way.
associations, the various denominations.
Well, this is just civic associations and HOAs. I
Have a
mean,
list.
I know they have to, they have that list. But I would start with the councilman, because they each have some communication.
Yeah, and each council member is very much aware of the cable commission. This
Maybe
body has been in
I understand
existence
that,
for a
but
very
what
long
I'm saying is,
time.
I
But you know
understand
you're gonna
that.
have
But
to
what
put
I'm
in
saying
something
is,
in writing.
send them
Sure.
something saying, look, we had 3 people. We think that there could be more. Do whatever you want to do and let them know that we'd appreciate it if you would put the information in your reader.
Duly noted, thank you.
And the Coffee Club has an extensive list, and they would be more than willing to help you out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
I'm Walter Thaxton.
Moving along on the agenda, the next item is, were there any further questions? I'm sorry. Comments from the members? Was the representative from Comcast report? Nothing further to report, okay. And our Verizon rep is not with us this evening, unfortunately. Which takes us to our commissioners' comments. Any comments, questions, concerns from our commissioners?
No.
Okay. If not, our next meeting is scheduled for the 24th of February. And we will be here, and hopefully there'll be some additional folks from the community who may have some concerns. I know, Walter, you will be communicating with the residents. I'm sure you will, and I appreciate that. Is there any other business that needs to come before the body? If not, we will adjourn if I hear a motion for such.
So moved.
Second? We are adjourned. Thank you. Time's it now?
7:07.